Hey, everybody. Welcome to another Playful Humans podcast. I'm your host, Mike Montague, and my guest this week is Douglas Smythe. He is a male grooming expert and founder of Phoenix Shaving. You can find them at phoenixshaving.com. They have traditional shaving software and hardware. What does that mean? Stick around. We're going to find out. We'll ask Douglas. I have no idea. But clearly, I'm a fan of shaving, which I think is ironic, Douglas, because I feel like we could switch. I need to teach you about shaving. I got it down, but we're going to learn some things here today, too. If you want to learn more about Playful Humans, it's at playfulhumans.com. We're helping adults rediscover the power of play. Here we go. Douglas, we like to start with the joke of the week. The joke of the week is brought to you by Origami. I just found an origami channel on television, but it's pay-per-view. All right. Here's the official joke of the week. What does a perverted frog say? Rub it. Rub it.
Oh, God. God. No, that was bad. I still want to read me for the first one. Get it? Sorry. Yeah. I'm trying.
So just a lighthearted way to get us started has absolutely nothing to do with what we're going to talk about today, which is your playfulness in your career. And I don't know. I thought I'd just start general with the shaving industry. It feels like men's grooming has a fun playfulness side to it. And I'm not sure where that comes from. I know that shaving and mustaches and beards have their own style and playful personality to it. But why do you feel like your industry is more playful than others?
Well, I don't know if that's necessarily true anymore. I definitely, because being men, we're fed certain ads. So we're only seeing these, and typically it's, funded by Dollar Shave Club and stuff like that. And they have a goofy, or that's Dr. Squatch. And they all have that same flavor of comedy, I feel, and it's almost like everything's starting to look the same in that regard. But so there's that. Also, this is the first time in history, well, at least for the last 10 years, where men can really talk about this sort of thing, like skincare and whatnot. It was always like so foofy before, but now, so kind of to get around the awkwardness from before, maybe the playful makes it more it's like sugar to a pill.
Yeah, I think that makes some sense. And I do think there have been traditional men's styles throughout history, right? And shaving, from different mustaches and beards and hairstyles. And definitely not anything I've ever found interesting in my world. But
clearly
about what's, I mean, I don't know. I mean, half of my hair was removed without my, permission. So I cut the rest of it. And I always felt like the less hair you have, the closer it needs to be to your head. So there's shaving tip number one, or men's grooming tip number one for you on the top of your head anyway. And then the bottom of the head, I just can't get it. I can't get it figured out. I don't know what I have going on. So tell me about what is going on in modern styles now. Like, what's playful and fun, and what's new in shaving?
What's new in shaving? Well, shaving, we do traditional shaving here. We're trying to get people to return back to traditional forms of shaving, moving them away from the cartridge razors and the multi-blade razors, because those aren't fun, and those have been inadvertently hurting ourselves for years. In fact, most guys, I suspect that most guys grow beards these days because they hate shaving, and the only reason why is they've been using the wrong tool for the job. Because these cartridge razors, the multi-blades, the more blades you have on a razor, the closer your shave is, and the more you're apt to get ingrown hairs, razor burn, razor bumps, so on and so forth. And before 1971, when these cartridge razors and multi-blades came out, we didn't talk about stuff like that. We didn't talk about ingrown hairs. We didn't talk about razor bumps because we were using double-edged blades, which what we do. It's a better shave. And the only reason why cartridge razors and multi-blade razors were ever invented was because Gillette and a couple other brands like Wilkinson Sword were losing their patent rights for double-edged blades in the early 70s. So they needed to create something new, which they did. And they went from a multi-million-dollar company to a multi-billion-dollar company overnight. So success. But it was never about a closer, finer smoother shave at the end of the day. It was just about they needed something new.
Now, tell me about the software hardware developer portion of what you claim on your LinkedIn profile and stuff.
Yeah, that's kind of fun, right? Well, that's me being cheeky, I guess. Software meaning soaps and aftershaves, and hardware meaning razors and blades and bowls and stuff. That we offer it all. In fact, we just released our first blade, our own branded blade, with some tweaks this past weekend. So we finally offer, after almost 10 years of doing this, we offer every component to a shave you could possibly need. So that's what I mean by hardware and software developer, which I admit is kind of confusing when you're reading that for the first time.
Available at phoenixshaving.com. Try something different there. Okay. Now, your career and your career path is what I find most interesting here, because I like to interview people that take a entrepreneurial path, but also a playful path with their career. And they do something outside of the normal check boxes, like go to college, get married, buy a house, get your 401k set up, and, retire after 45 years and try and figure out how to have fun.
And then die.
70, right. And then die. So your career path has not been that at all. Have you ever had did you follow that path at all, or did you immediately, kind of go your own direction?
I pretty much, out the door, I started going my own direction. When I was 8 or 9 years old, I created my first perfume with my chemistry set.
Wow.
My mom still has it to this day, actually, if that tells you how good it is. But and I also made bombs too, just for all your listeners out there. I wasn't just making perfume at that age. So I started right then and there. Obviously, I didn't hang with it until years later. But no, after college, I was, in rock and roll bands. I was a studio musician, so I was playing music all over the place. Eventually, I wanted to get out of that and move to Central America after a vacation there. I was like, I could live here. I'm gonna live here. And a year later, I moved back, or maybe 8 months later, I moved back. Without knowing the language or anyone there. And I lived in a hammock on the beach at the edge of the rainforest in Montezuma, Costa Rica, for 4 years. And while there, I actually created this product. It wasn't even a product. I was just creating something for myself. My whole business, you can understand, started because I needed to create stuff for myself. I got lucky that other people enjoyed it as well, but I created this product called Itch No Mas, and it was just a solution I made because I was getting bit by sand fleas in the evenings, and there was nothing I could put on it, nothing I could find there. So went to the pharmacy and bought different, essential oils and different chemicals that were available to me, and whipped this bad boy up. And it worked so well. I had locals knocking on my tent flaps as well as other tourists. So swinging in my hammock, I would, fantasize like, someday I'm going to sell this stuff back here or whatever, if I ever go back to the United States, which ended up happening 4 years later. Again, that was just like one of those random things you say to yourself and, laugh off, like so many pipe dreams were back in the day. But what I came back to was an Etsy world, and everyone, suddenly the playing field was leveled and you can do what you wanted, and the packaging was there. You could just do it yourself. So I was like, well, I should definitely try this. And I did. And I was shipping Itch No Mas, and I created a sister product too called Stink No Mas, which was an emergency insect pellet / deodorant in like a chapstick, oval chapstick container type tube. So that actually ended up selling better than Itch No Mas down there. They both sold great, but the shipping is what was killing me towards the end. And so I eventually turned my sights back on the United States. At the same time, however, while traveling abroad, I had friends down there that were, blogging for a living. And I was like, what's this? And so, one of my friends had a blog called howtodraw.com. I don't actually know if he still has it or not, but he was raking in so much money a week. He was surviving down there. I was like, wow, all you need is a computer and you can do this. So when I got back here, I was also looking for domain names, and How to Grow a Mustache wasn't taken yet. And I was like, great, I have to start a blog. And I had a bitchy mustache, if I do so say myself. So I did. Yeah. And, eventually I realized I need to draw people back here before I can start selling ads. And the ad sales weren't going that well because I was so new. I was writing 3 articles a day too, just trying to fill it up and beef it up. So I started creating my own products, like mustache waxes, and eventually a shave soap came into play, just to make the long story short. But it really was a fun, happy, welcomed accident at the end of the day. And that's I think why we're still here. Can't plan this.
I mean, those are the best stories, right? When you follow your passion, and I think when you follow what the audience is asking for and what you need, it makes a lot more sense. One of my favorite quotes is gosh, what's his name? Thurman Marshall, I think, was a Supreme Court judge. And he said, don't ask what the world needs, ask what makes you come alive, and then go do that, because what the world needs is more people who have come alive. And I think that's when you find those magic things and you chase those and you lean into it, it is more playful. It's more fun. It makes you come alive. And then all of the other stuff takes care of it itself. So that was going to be one of my follow-up questions is you seem like an off the grid kind of guy and you have an online business. So are those contradictory in your mind, complementary, or how do you balance the two? I feel like people feel like it's one or the other, but it's so much of life I feel like is both. So how do you balance that?
It's and you'll hear coming from the music industry as well. Like I also got my degree in theater too, if that helps. But coming from that background, you often get artists rather that don't know anything about marketing themselves, and they think they're sacrificing their art if they do that. But there's a happy marriage of the two, and if you don't figure that out for yourself, you're not going to be known. You're not going to get your name out there. And you're not going to be successful. So luckily, I was able to, again, marry the two together and pour everything that I'm into the business. I forgot the question. Were you asking me?
So really about balancing technology, because
technology,
I know
yes.
You seem like an off the grid kind of guy. We
Right.
talked earlier before we hit recording about not having a television. Both of us did that for a while. You much longer than me. But how do you balance having an online business and a social media presence and stuff with not getting distracted by that and still living your life and having a real world product, like shaving or something that's a physical, tangible thing?
Yeah, and you're actually absolutely right. When I came into the game, I didn't have my first computer truly until about 2008, maybe 2007. But I mean, like I was like relearning everything. Granted, I studied graphic arts before this, but old school Photoshop and all that jazz wasn't around when I was doing this in the 90s. I went to a technical high school,
Wow.
so I was teaching myself really fast. I actually started a business too in Central America doing design work because you couldn't work down there. You'd make $1 an hour if you did. So I had to like figure out another way to survive. So I was taking jobs I didn't necessarily know how to do. It would force me to study and learn them on the go. And that's exactly what I was doing. So you have to and even podcasting, when I first came back, I started a podcast too for my blog. But it took me a year to do that because I bought every book out there. I listened to every podcast on podcasting before I could get my feet wet. And back then, it wasn't like this. You had to have the soundboard, you really invested in that. And I wanted it to sound good. I was also taking about 12 hours a day editing each episode, like getting rid of everything, including my laugh. Like it was ridiculous how hell-bent on that I was. But so I had to play a lot of catch up to do that. And at first it was a pain in the butt, but like anything else, the more you do it, the more it becomes, old hat to a certain extent. And you have to, even though it's a pain in the butt and you may not like it in the beginning, you have to fall in love with the process, else you won't stay with it. And that happened. Though, yeah, I don't want to be on social media 24/7. I know that such is the nature of the beast that I seem to ride the back of. So I have to do it. I have to play with it. But if I didn't run an online business, I would not be on social media at all. I think it's crazy pants. I mean, there's a lot of good out there. There's also a lot more bad, when it comes to that. I mean, look at the reviews out there. People are more apt to leave a negative review or read a negative review than a positive review. And it's just human nature. It kind of accentuates that. And it's to a point where I don't necessarily want to partake in that. However, I have to. And so by doing so, I got to make it fun. And that's what I think our brand does.
Yeah, I was going to go there too, like how you take advantage of the positive benefits. But if anything comes to mind there, feel free to share. But I think what's also interesting to people is how do you balance that then? Do you have digital detox times where you shut it all down and go out in the desert and turn off? Are you always on? What's your thing?
No, I don't actually. As you know, I don't in the desert because I have to. I want to provide a service that I would want. So I'm available 24/7. I will be answering PMs, DMs, emails at like 3 o'clock in the morning. Sometimes if I'm awake, I'm always checking that. I want to deliver the best, and that's the thing I pride myself on too. Is like just delivering the most. I don't know if I'd say the best. I mean, the most best customer service, but the most real customer service. I'm not going to be like telling people stuff they just want to hear. I'm going to be honest and I'm going to be clear and I'm going to be funny. And this is my mistake, is I always assume that everyone has the same sense of humor as my 5 friends. And I think Gary Larson from Far Side said the same thing, but so which can be a mistake. And actually that goes, when I first started out learning how to be online back, 2008 and whatnot, we had to learn fast. I had to learn fast. I mean, I really, as an artisan too, as a new artisan, there were no other artisans out there. We were probably one of 5. So there were no role models or rules or blueprints to follow. So you make a lot of mistakes too. And that's part of it, is making every mistake in the book to get where you are. But the thing is, don't be afraid of that. And don't be afraid of, haters and trolls either. That's just a sign of success.
Yeah. I think I found this interesting in my career of online, and I was on the radio, and I've done other online businesses and live streaming and podcasts and all kinds of things. And there's a funny thing about websites. I noticed, especially, I've built like 200 websites, and the first thing that happens is robots and spammers.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And you're like, oh, that's great. My forms, being filled out 100 times a day by a Russian robot.
Yeah.
And so you fix that. And then the second thing that happens is you get complaints and haters, because they're reaching out, trying to tell you, all of their complaints, and competitors too. So the second thing is competitors, because you don't have any customers. Nobody's looking for you. So the ones that are searching for your type of stuff are your competitors. Then you get the haters as third, and then finally you get to audience and fans fourth, and you have to push through all of those other 3 junk stages.
Yes, no one tells you that. It's like, but often I find the haters and trolls and competitors can often be one and the same. That's an interesting thing too, that in this whole online world is people. The cost of entry for a lot of these things is so low that people have never taken a business course, they've never taken an ethics course. They just don't know how to behave and what's acceptable and what's professional and what isn't. And so in their mind, the scarcity mindset happens. They're treating it like a traditional business where, like, you're going to fight for your downtown piece of area, don't let the competition in. But they forget that we're online. We're open 24/7. The entire world is our customer base. There is no scarcity. There's no like brand favorite. It's not like back in the day where you were brand loyal. People buy from everybody. Yeah. And so that's what I always like to, try to reinforce anyways. It's like, I'm not looking for brand loyalty. I just want to be able to participate without, pissing anyone off at the end of the day. We're just here to be shavers, or to talk about shaving or to do shaving and teach people how to shave right. There's nothing nefarious going on here.
Yeah. And I think so many people forget that in their customer base too, that there are 7 billion people out there, right? There's over 1 billion people on Facebook and the internet. And so you mentioned Dollar Shave Club earlier, like you're fine doing that because those people are not your customers. The people that want a traditional better shave, not the cheapest and most painful one, they want the best shave, are going to go to phoenixshaving.com instead. And so like there's 1 billion people, half of them are about our male and are going to need, shaving equipment. You don't have to worry if 10 people go over to Dollar Shave Club because they want a cheaper razor.
Not at all. There's room enough for everybody is what it all comes down to. And I don't know what it is with people. It's really just, we've been trained really wrong by the online. It just came up on us so fast.
Some of it's
social media and everything
human
else
nature
that we just weren't prepared.
Yeah.
But human nature, where does that come from even, It's like, I feel like we're trained in that too. Like, it's classics like, I don't know, there's stuff like customers always right. That was the major corporation that started that with huge buying power. But for a small business, like, if anyone's owned a business, customer isn't always right, but we've implanted that in their heads,
Yeah, you hit one of my favorite pet peeves there because the economist that came up with it was actually talking about the market. The market is always right.
Dictates.
If you throw this out to 300 million people in the United States and they all say no thanks and they don't buy it, then the market's right. You created something that's worthless.
Yes.
Right? That you couldn't communicate or get there. But the customer, an individual customer, can be completely wrong. They can be a wrong fit for you. They can come from a weird background. They might be miseducated about the facts. There's all kinds of crazy things in it.
User error. And Amazon just reinforces that stuff. They'll take back anything. If you sell on Amazon, you have to take back anything, no questions asked, yada, yada, yada. So it's like, so we're doing it to ourselves. And I don't know if it's necessarily, it's human nature to be susceptible to suggestion, maybe.
Yeah. Well, I think, I said that about scarcity. Like, we do have these biological systems that are meant to keep us alive. So we look out for threats, and we look out for things that might go wrong, or we look
First circuitry.
some people
it's first
more
circuitry,
Yeah.
It's the reptilian part. Yeah, definitely. I'm trying to
But the
operate on like
opposite is
third
also-
or fourth circuitry.
Yeah, the opposite is also true, and that's what this podcast is about, is reminding people that humans are also meant to be playful and be in a community and connect with other people and not take things so serious. That all mammals on the planet play. They waste energy connecting with other people, having fun, messing with chaos and order and the flow between things to see what happens and test and try things and to fail and learn safely.
For sure.
And I think so many people miss that part of it. That's also part of human nature.
They do. It's sad,
so what do you do
true.
for fun, and how do you play?
I work 24/7. Like what I'm an artist. I got my degree in theaters. I mean, like this,
Sure.
I combine everything that I love into the business. I have a show called I'd Lather Be Shaving. For anyone familiar with car talk, it's similar in that way, where even if you're into cars or not, it's still highly entertaining. I think so anyways. Of course I'm biased, but it's still highly entertaining when it comes to the history of shaving and stuff you probably would not seek out on your own. History of shaving, how to shaving, tips, tricks and hacks, things you've never thought of. Kind of just creating awareness around that, but in a fun, playful way. And we also do a conference every year called the Big Shave West, which is a shave conference, believe it or not, with panel discussions. I do a whole week where I do like the nickel and dime tour to different areas too around where the conference happens, like Tombstone. I dress up as a tour guide. Cool. I slap the magnets on the side of the van. I take guys out there. I mean, you got to make it fun. And then when it comes to our products, I've created the whole Phoenix Shaving universe of characters and this ongoing saga that's continued on sales page to sales page. I actually just published a book for the final, not the final, but the latest version of the saga in paperback form. So there's an ongoing story.
Nice.
There's different characters that come and go, anagrams, codes to figure out on the labels. Like all of our labels are telling a story, like a window into that universe visually. And then there's the ongoing story that you can keep up with as well. There's like a whole fandom around this. And again, this has been over the last 10 years, I mean, it's ever evolving.
That's really cool though. You're having fun. Yeah, you're having fun with it for sure. And
yes.
And playing with your audience, which I think is great. Do you still play music at all?
Well, I have my electric drum kit in my bedroom, so I can play in my underwear at 3 a.m. without disturbing many. But not as much. I'm not out there doing it. I just have no time to do it. I hope to get back to that eventually someday. But I played all different types of world instruments and drum kit since I was 8 years old as well. So
awesome. Last question, and then I want to play a game, but before we wrap up. But let's talk about shaving, just because I don't have a chance to get an expert on very much. So are there like styles that are in right now, or what is I as like a clearly a bald, clean shaven guy, I'm thinking of maybe even like the electric hair removal, just to be like, I never want to shave again kind of thing, because I don't ever see myself with facial hair. But what am I missing here? Like, do I need a mustache? What do most men not know about shaving? How can you help us?
Well, okay, so you're doing everything fine. I come from a world which shaving is pretty much the primary objective. So you get the prize for that. When it comes to male grooming, beards and mustaches, that's a whole different animal, really. But what you got going on is fine. You don't need to do anything. If you don't, shaving or male grooming, beards, mustaches, it's all just an extension of personal style. And that's the only thing that counts at the end of the day. I mean, it's like, how do you feel? And people often forget that. They'll look great what they're wearing, but they drop the ball when it comes to what they're doing with their face or shaving. Often you'll see the cuts and scrapes and whatnot from, they're bleeding still. It's like, you're just doing it wrong. So I would say follow your heart in that way. And that's why we return to traditional shaving as well, because unlike cartridge razors and multi-blade razors, which is one size fits all, traditional shaving, you find the right razor for your face. And, honestly, you can go on eBay and buy a vintage double-edged razor that will shave you just as good today as it did 70 years ago when it came off the assembly line. These things are built to last. So, they're heirloom pieces. You can pass it down to your kids and your kids' kids, and so on and so forth. So it's like better for the planet in that way too. It's not plastic going in the landfill. The blades, unlike cartridge razors in the stores that cost like $25 for 4 of them, you can get 100 of them for $9 to $15. Or $20, $9 to $20, you get 100. That'll last you forever. They're metal, so you can recycle them. Then you're using a brush and soap. So you're using hot lather now. You're creating hot lather. So there's nothing more soothing. So it's become more of an escape than a daily chore, where it's almost like green tea ceremony. It's meditative, it's soothing, it's time to yourself that you don't often get in this, hustle and bustle world. It's tactile, where it's a return to that. As I mentioned at the beginning, like men often didn't talk about this stuff back in the day. Now there's groups, forums, guys are doing shaves of the day and what product they switch it up every day. They're different scents. We offer over cool. 70 different scents because we know how nostalgic fragrances can be. So we a lot of times will bring back vintage lost scents from the past that don't exist anymore. It's almost like we're doing a service. I call it a scent archaeology, where long lost scents from way back in the day that your grandpappy wore, or even your dad, that are no longer available, we'll bring back. And so it's a whole just different way of thinking about it. It's not like brushing your teeth anymore. It's like this. It's like a hobby. It really is. There's collectors out there. If you're a collector, if you're into antiques already, cool. It's an easy thing to jump into and fall in love with. And it's better shave.
It sounds like fun. I was trying to think of my only shaving tip as a guy who shaves his head. If you're a white guy, don't shave during the summer. That people just think you have leukemia. Wait till January if you're going to shave your head for the first time, then build up the tan over the time. That's my only.
But even people of color should definitely be using sunblock too. We often we simplify that a lot, and it's like no. UV light is this. Don't screw with it. Like it's skin cancer is skin cancer, and it can affect everybody. But yeah, some people less than others. But still, at the end of the day, everyone should be using sunblock.
Awesome.
Especially in Arizona, where I am.
Yes, I 100% agree. All right, we got a wheel of games here. There are 10 games that it could land on, and you got Survey Says. Survey Says is pretty easy. All you have to do is name one of the top answers. We surveyed 100 people, top answers on the card here, and I thought I would do a fun one here for you. Name a reason you might make your spouse get out of bed in the middle of the night. Or your spouse might make you get out of bed in the middle of the night.
Snoring.
Snoring, number 2 answer. Check a noise, number 1. So nice, you nailed it. Attend to a baby, somebody sick, or get a glass of water on the top list. All right, I'm going to go with this one here. During a power failure, name something you can still turn on.
Flashlight.
Flashlight is the number 1 answer. You nailed it. All right.
Okay.
Radio, water, spouse, and stove, also on the top list. Okay, and last one, name something cats and men have in common.
Cats and men have. Is this a funny answer or is this a real answer?
I would say
you can't tell me, can you?
There's both, yeah.
They have hair instead of fur.
Harry is number 4. You made it on there, so you got 3 for 3 in the top list.
Okay.
So number 1 answer was love sleeping. Number 2 is being lazy. I feel like that's the same thing. 3, sneaky. I don't agree with. Finicky or stubborn. But number 6 is like petting. They like petting. So
I never would have got any of those. I was thinking the tomcat thing. Like there's that, the out on the prowl. That should have made it on there. Jeez.
That would have been better than, finicky or stubborn or sneaky.
Yeah.
Or maybe that's what they meant.
Or lazy. God, I wish I knew what lazy was like.
Me too. I appreciate it.
I need a nap.
So awesome. You nailed it. You win our game, which means you get a free 30-second commercial here. Any asks or gives for our audience here before we wrap up?
Yeah, I mean, if anyone's interested in traditional shaving or just shaving in general and want to learn a better way of doing it, please visit us at phoenixshaving.com or check out our show, I'dlatherbeshaving.com. Or even better, if you just want to see what traditional shaving is about, visit howtowetshave.com. And you'll find me giving a tutorial on how to do that with one of our starter kits. I'm also in the chat all day long, as I mentioned, and I can talk about this all day long as well because it's my passion.
That is awesome. Check out phoenixshaving.com and howtowetshave.com. Good stuff there. Thank you, Douglas, for being on the show. That's Douglas Smythe, from Phoenix Shaving, a male grooming expert. And again, I'm Mike Montague with Playful Humans. You can, of course, give us a thumbs up, the like, the share, anything on the podcast. You can shoot me an email, mike@playfulhumans.com, on suggestions for future guests, anybody you know that's particularly playful or fun that you think that we should have on the show. And if you want to take a quiz and find out what playful personality you are, go to playfulhumans.com/quiz and check it out. We'll see you next time.
Don't wait for tomorrow. Live for today. Keep on chasing the sunshine and go out and play.
Go play, everybody.